here's what's, to me, is the real nail in the coffin for Peter Madoff. Yes, he was compliance officer. He was signing off on filings to the SEC that were false.
Right.
So, for instance, he oversaw the brokerage firm, but in addition, Peter Madoff was, signing filings with the SEC, I think starting in 2006, saying that Madoff also had this advisory business, the hedge fund, with $17 billion worth of assets, and they were making X, Y, and Z trades. All of it was a lie. And his signature was on all of those filings.
Right,
so
right,
on that basis alone, I think he could be indicted.
And let me just add, it is certainly my conception without ever studying it, but I'd be stunned if it were otherwise, that when you sign off on those things, you can't just blithely put your name down. You have to have investigated that this is true.
Well, since Sarbanes-Oxley, CFOs have had to be much more careful because of Enron and so forth. Regulations were put in place that CFOs could be liable for signing off on stuff they knew was false.
Right, and the same would be true of Peter's daughter, Shana. Is that how you pronounce it?
I'm not sure. It's either Shana or Shana. I'm
okay,
not sure.
I think it's probably Shana because that means pretty in Yiddish.
Okay.
She was compliance officer, like a sub-compliance officer for half the business, and so she must have signed off on this stuff too. So she probably knew something was big time wrong, didn't she?
I can't say that for sure.
Okay.
I think she was. Look, she was hired there because she was Peter Madoff's progeny.
What else?
Very likely. She didn't have any other experience. She came straight out of law school and went to work for her father and for her uncle, Bernie Madoff. She was working on the, quote unquote, legitimate brokerage firm side. She was a rules compliance attorney, which basically, I think that meant that the trading operation had to comply with certain regulations.
Yeah.
So it was a very specific stuff. She was also involved in getting Madoff employees to speak at conferences, to help. She did a lot of sort of quasi-marketing. She recruited SEC officials to come and speak at industry events. So did she know? I have my doubts. I actually think that she was the beneficiary of accounts that she and other family members had at this hedge fund. So for instance, Bernie's sons, Mark and Andrew, are being sued by the trustee because each of them over the years allegedly pulled out between $50 and $60 million.
Right.
And it was all in accounts that were held at this, so-called hedge fund. Now, some of the trades, like when you look at the allegations, it seems unreal. So, for instance, in their hedge fund accounts, which had just traded Apple or Intel, or some of these trades were completely fabricated.
Right.
Now, Mark and Andrew were supposedly trading experts. They were watching, New York Stock Exchange and NASDAQ listed stocks all day long. So, for instance, one of them made, I think it was $11 or $14 million in one of their accounts, starting from zero. And it turned out it was a backdated trade.
Right.
All of the family members had accounts like this.
This excerpt is brought to you by the Massachusetts School of Law, the leader of reform in legal education and a leader in multimedia education for the public. To view the full interview and for a full listing of MSL's programs, log on to mslaw.edu.